Hello, everyone. Today I wanted to continue, of course, the series that we've been doing on the films of Charlie Chaplin. Now, we got another one of his silent films right here. It's from a 1931. It's one of the classics. I think you've heard of it before. If you're a Chaplin fan, you've definitely heard of this film. There's some people who haven't heard of this film. But just so you know, this is an amazing film. It's a classic. It's known as one of the enduring classics of the American cinema. It's really known as a one of those like classic comedies. This was also known as like one of the first like romantic comedies to come out. It's from 1931. It's by number 680 in the Criterion Collection, and it's the brilliant, as always, Chaplin's City Lights. City Lights. Now, this is a really excellent film. City Lights. Especially since I regard this actually as one of Chaplin's best, one of his best films to come out. City Lights. It's a great movie, honestly. That's all I can really say. But I got to get into this film more because this is one of those more interesting and complex Chaplin films out there. This is a very complex one, and for many reasons, the story in and of itself, the story in and of itself, it's very interesting. It's kind of a little complicated for me. It was sophisticated, but it has some interesting social commentary. And if you get what I mean by social commentary, I mean the story kind of has that like social theme kind of an aspect to it. It has like a very interesting some interesting social themes or some commentary on society that it has to say. And that's what really makes it the great film that it is. Of course, it's hilarious. Of course, it's very witty and really nicely crafted, like the comedy and all that. The gags, of course, they're brilliant. The story, of course, it's a really nice story, and the design that Criterion does is beautiful. As you can see, that's the flower girl that Chaplin meets in the film. It's a beautiful movie. But the film, the story. Let's talk about the story of City Lights. City Lights has much more complex story than um Chaplin's previous films, like The Gold Rush. That was simple. He's searching for gold. Circus, simple. Becomes well known in a circus. Yeah, I didn't really get to talk much about the plot of that one, but it's where he's escaping from the cops, and he ends up becoming involved with the circus. And I didn't really get to discuss the stories of these, but the circus, I can't even really tell you the story on that one. Just watch it without expecting anything, and I'm certain that for those who really are fans of this kind of comedy, like this kind of stuff, if you really like this kind of stuff, you're gonna love films like these, or you're gonna love any Chaplin film, just like I do. For this one, I have to kind of discuss the plot. Because I didn't really get into the plot of the circus, because that's something I kind of don't really want to get into. It's something you kind of have to just watch on your own. And I don't know, some of these films I don't want to spoil, but Gold Rush, yeah, I had a simple plot, but this one is about Chaplin ends up he plays this tramp, and he gets to know this flower girl who is blind. And this flower girl, is, a really nice girl. He gets to know her. But because he's like a very poor man and he's kind of down and out, kind of a guy, and he doesn't, really have a home. And also he kind of course, with his weird gags and all that and stuff like that, his zany sort of comedy and all that. Like when you kind of like see like how he acts, as a person and all that, like, he's afraid that because what ends up being revealed is that um I don't know if he gives her the money, but he gives the flower girl this money, and ends up pointing to something that's gonna help her, and it and ends up, she might end up actually restoring her eyesight using the money that I think Chaplin gives her or something like that. Because or she gets this money or something somehow, and now she has the opportunity to maybe possibly, restore her eyesight so that she can see. And Chaplin's kind of afraid that when, of course, the tramp, he's afraid naturally that when she sees him, when she has her eyesight restored, she'll think that, she won't want him and she won't accept him for who he is. And he's like afraid because of his position in society, which is what the film's really about, because of social class and all that kind of stuff, um, you know, that kind of stuff and all that. Because of that, he's afraid, like, is she gonna judge me because I'm poor and because, I'm kind of a quirky type of person and, I have my own way of life and she's not gonna accept that way of life, and he's afraid of that once she gets her eyesight restored. I won't tell you what happens because it's kind of, I don't want to really get into spoilers for these films, but it's really touching. It's a touching story. And of course, Chaplin gets involved with other situations. He meets this, guy who's depressed, and he helps him, and so you got that little, subplot going on the side, and but yeah, I mean, overall, I can't really say much on the plot of the film, but it's really the theme of the film that's very interesting, like what it has to say. Because it's very nice messages, the themes of the film. But again, it's interesting, the social commentary, because I guess how Chaplin, like he's showing in the film, when he shows the case of the tramp character, when he shows how the tramp is kind of disregarded in society, and he's always kind of like, pushed around by, the people surrounding him, and, he kind of struggles with fitting in to the world. He's not supposed to, fit in with anything. The architecture and stuff like that, like he kind of doesn't fit in with that whole world, that whole society that he lives in. So, it's very interesting how Chaplin used that whole like plot of like him kind of not fitting in this society to show how he kind of like, like the whole theme of like social class, and how, social class kind of like, plays a role and stuff like that, and how some people, it's like, I guess what he was showing is like the differences in social class, and how like with, Chaplin, he's kind of like poor, and he's struggling and all that. And I guess it shows how sometimes like people could judge him based on his social class because he's just like a poor person, and I guess that's what it's really showing, is a social commentary. And yeah, I guess how some people are judged because of their socioeconomic, their social class. And you could kind of say that that's a theme that Chaplin's trying to get at in this film. But yeah, I mean, that's what I kind of got out of the film, was how, it shows how for some people social class plays a role in life. But then again, does social class really matter in the end? Or is it really just about, a person's like character? Because like Chaplin's a warm person in the movie. He's a nice guy, a nice person, but he's judged unfortunately by a lot of people, or just, disregarded by people because of his class, and he's just like, someone from the streets, and because of that, sometimes he's viewed as like, just, one of those poor people, but it also deals with, of course, like, I guess poverty, and because, how he has that life and stuff like that. That's a theme that was dealt with in the kids, so that's my interpretation of City Lights. It's a touching film. It's very nice story. It's really interesting, the story and all that. It's much more complex than Chaplin's other works, like or films like The Kid. That was simple, but films like City Lights, when you're getting into this period of Chaplin, this period of, when Chaplin started making films in this period, you kind of like see how, like he got into the more complex and interesting themes. Um, yeah, in terms of the comedy, there's some great sequences, some hilarious sequences. There's scenes, some scenes that just run on in the film. But they kind of gotta run on because when you're seeing it, it's just absolutely hilarious. Yeah, it's amazing actually. The humor in the film is fantastic. The way it's done, but yeah, overall, this is a beautiful film with a great conclusion, by the way, which I won't spoil for you. It's a really great film. After all, the comedy, you'll be laughing if you really like this stuff, or if you would be interested in this kind of, these kinds of films and stuff like that. Especially since it's a silent film and all that. It's yeah. That's all I can say. It's a great film. City Lights, I strongly recommend this film. It's one of his best. Now, I said that I was gonna get into, like, I think with the silent era, where like with Chaplin, where, when he started getting into like this age, he kind of like, I remember there's an essay on this in here, but oh, well, at this time, when he was making City Lights, thing about a film like City Lights was, and I'll just briefly go over this, was that at the time, since this was a silent film, and most films were converting to sound, because this is when the sound era came in and all that, films like, I think The Jazz Singer was like the first sound film for its time, and people started using the technique of like actual like dialogue, where you could hear the dialogue and it was audible. Chaplin, he kept making these silent films. He didn't care. He wanted to continue showing his brand of comedy, and he figured visual comedy was better than the comedy you hear. Like you figure like the comedy that you're seeing is more powerful than the comedy that you hear, like simple like comedy that you hear like audible dialogue in. And he figures that doesn't work as well as, comedy where you're just visually seeing it, but you're just, you're not hearing it. So that was his view of it. So you'll find we'll review another silent film from Chaplin, that came 5 years later after City Lights, Modern Times. So that's a great film too. So check that one out. This is the essay. This is like the booklet that comes along with City Lights. Really nice. What is it? See, like the casting credits and stuff like that. Really nice. See the essays, like the booklets and stuff like that. This is a really great essay, by the way. Excellent stuff they gotta say. So, really good analysis and observations and all that. Yeah, just showing the comedy and all that. I mean, I don't know. I can't really. I won't get into the comedy scenes in the film, but just so you know, it's worth seeing. The scenes that are funny, the humor in the film is excellent. So yeah, really great. Kind of back to back when you look at them both. At the same time, you can see how it comes together really nice. So that's pretty nice. Yeah. So that's it for that one. Or for the booklet, that is. Then we got the disc. Disc, brilliant, isn't it? It's really nice, the city, I guess, and all that. They're showing the buildings and architecture and all that. So, pretty nice. So that's it for that part. But here's when we get the real, really nice stuff here. I always like showing these because these are brilliant. This is the Flower Girl. The Flower Girl. This is, yeah, of course, the flower there, and that's the Flower Girl you see, and it really nice. Really nicely done. That is. So that's just, a little like, this is like the cover, the art cover art and all that. Really nice. Yeah, pretty nicely done. So that's about it for what's in, the transfer, or what's in I think this is a Blu-ray, or I think it's a DVD. Not sure if it is, whether it's a Blu-ray or not, but what's in here? What is in here? It's really nice. So get this version. Get this restoration of City Lights. If you're looking for a great restoration of this classic, get the Criterion edition. This is brilliant. Yeah, because this is just brilliant. So yeah, I know I kind of went into a little too much detail about the film and the themes of the film and all that. But yeah, that's kind of about it for today. It's a great comedy. I absolutely recommend it. One of his best, one of my favorites from Chaplin. It's a beloved classic for a reason. That's it. Watch it and get it. Great movie. So yeah, next up we have Modern Times, from 1963, not 63, no, that's way ahead of this time, 1936, I meant to say, but yeah, that is, really worth checking out too, just so you know, but, we'll talk more about that later, maybe, next week or so, because I have a lot of work I'm doing, for school and all that, but I may have time to do it on Friday. If I can't do it on Friday, maybe I'll try it on a Saturday or something like that, so, yeah, that's about all for today, yeah, that's all for today, God bless you, stay safe, and goodbye.